I'm Lloyd O'Connell. I represent the Encinitas Historical Society. We're taking a downtown walk this morning. Behind me is the 1883 schoolhouse. The Encinitas School District was established in 1882, and at that time they needed a school site, and they needed to have the building constructed. So they floated a bond issue for $600. 11 people voted for it. And in 1883, Edward Hammond came with his family of 11, increased the town by 100%, and we had 22 people in town at that time. Fortunately for us, he came from Macclesfield, England as a cabinet maker. And because of this, he was able to assume the responsibility of building the school that you see today. It's made all of redwood. That lap board behind me is original. All the structures, of course, are redwood. And I think now we can say, let's go in and take a look at what that building looks like. Here we are inside the schoolhouse. This particular building is the Encinitas Historical Society's history room, because we do have research papers that are extremely important in our local history. To begin with, the floors are original, so they're 124 years old. They're made of fir. The ceiling is 1909, and I'll talk about that later. As far as the desks are concerned, you're seeing combination desks which were constructed after the Civil War in 1865 by the American Seating Company. But we had at the time slab tables which were actually limbs which were planed down to a smooth finish and then put together for the children. They had redwood benches, which periodically Ted Hammond in a letter said that he came in and planed those particular seats to keep the youngsters from getting slivers on their little bottoms. The first class of the children that they had were 18 youngsters. The doors that they used early on were for boys on one side and girls on the other. The school desks, not the school desks, but the textbooks that they had were actually bought by the parents for the youngsters, not like today in which the state buys our textbooks. As far as the activities were concerned, the youngsters did not have a blackboard as you see now up in the front of the schoolhouse, but they had slate that they used to make their writings and also their figures, and natural sponges to remove the marks. The building itself was not placed exactly on this identical spot. It was located about 50 feet from us over near Pacific View School classrooms. The latter part of the early part of the 1900s, in 1909, we had a renovation of this particular building because of the fact that we needed to seal the walls, which did not have a second wall inside, and we also need to put in the ceiling, which was done, and we added what they called the annex, and the annex was on this side of the building, closing these doors, opening up the annex door, and the youngsters came through where the window is, or where the window was, in the early part of the 1800s. The annex periodically was used for discipline. If the youngster got out of hand, the teacher put them in the annex room, but it was also used for storage of classroom material, lunches, and clothing for the children. In the early days, they also had, as far as heating, they had a potbelly stove in the middle of this floor, and lighting was strictly from the windows that you see, the 6-foot windows. As far as electricity was concerned, we didn't get electricity until after 1916. Children that were in the class were from grades 1 through 8. The youngsters, if they had to go to high school, obviously the family had to leave town. 1906 brought the Oceanside High to being, and our youngsters went up there up until 1937. When they came back in 1937, they came back to what we call Tent City. Tent City was a canvas-covered classroom made of wood on siding and on the floor. And I understand that they're very hot in the summertime and very, very cold in the winter. The San Diego High School was constructed in 1938, and they moved then from Tent City to the new high school. So we were very, very lucky to have this new building in our midst. This desk was made in 2003. It's a replica of a desk that was in a 1885 schoolhouse in Toronto, Canada. The problem was that we were looking for a teacher's desk that we could utilize in the school building that would have some vintage to it, and just couldn't find one. So we used this as a model, and we were very, very happy to have this desk completed for our use. That you see is 1909. Prior to that, as I said before, we saw the complete peak of the roof. That roof, incidentally, is 30 feet high, pretty high. The boys and girls, when they went to high school, into Oceanside High, they went in what they called the dinky. And the dinky was a locomotive with 1 or 2 passenger trains on the back. And I understand from individuals who did take that ride that they thought that it was a great experience, and the conductors were wonderful people. And they had a great time on that train. They were known as the 10 o'clock scholars. I guess they got in at 10 o'clock and then came home about 3:30. By 1920, buses came into being, and they took the buses instead of the train.